Welcome to Verify in Field, the Millwork podcast. Here's Jacob.
Welcome back, everybody, to Verify in Field. I have a second-time guest again today, Doug Hague. So if many of you guys have been following the show, you've seen my interview with Doug a number of months back. And today he's joining us again today to talk about AWI's Industry Solutions learning platform that is, well, at the time of recording, not launched yet, but by the time you guys listen, should be live. So thanks for coming and joining to chat about this, Doug.
Well, appreciate you having me back. Last time was, I got to be honest, it was good therapy for me. And so look forward to the conversation today. Love following your podcast and the amount of, the variety of guests that you have on here, and just honored to be a part of it. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Well, maybe to get started, so if you hadn't listened to Doug's last interview, go back and listen to that. You'll hear about his story and his journey to becoming where he's at now, CEO of AWI. But today we want to talk about specifically their AWI's new learning platform, Industry Solutions. Can you start by just giving us an overview of what this is, what its purpose is, and what inspired AWI to develop this?
There's a lot there to unpack, so let's jump in and have some fun with it. But what is Industry Solutions? And we will refer to it as AWI is throughout the show also, so we're talking about the same thing. But what it is that it is meant to be a solution towards the skills gap or knowledge of woodworking. And that was kind of the founding principles that this thing is built on, and that's why the first module that we are rolling out here is Principles of Woodworking. And AWI leadership saw this gap or opportunity that, look, the labor issue is very real and it's not going away tomorrow, right? And it's also a long-term game here, but I don't want to misquote the direct conversation, so I'm going to say, but it went similar to this. A few individuals in the room said, hey, for us personally, if we can keep a new hire for 3 years, then we're doing something. Like the shift in hiring people has changed dramatically if you roll it back 30, 40, 50 years ago, right? Jacob, if you and I go 1 or 2 generations behind me, I don't think many people had multiple employers in their career paths. It was, you go to someone, you're thankful for an opportunity to work, and you go there until the day you retire. I know we're speaking stereotypically and broad, but I feel that that's pretty accurate. Are we all right moving in that direction?
Yeah.
All right. And so, but the reality is that's not today. And we can't get a square peg through a round hole very easily. With a big hammer in our world, we can, but it doesn't look very good. So, in all honesty, it is understanding that approach, that if the reality is, and you also run a small business, understand hiring and people, and you go, the time frame we set on in leadership was 3 years. And so we said, if that's true, that our average employee's length of stay will be 3 years, how fast do I have to get them up to speed in order for them to be profitable within my company? Because if we, again, run with old historical numbers, oftentimes we would say, oh, we don't need an employee to be profitable until year 1, or, give them time to get settled in and find their niche. And I know I'm speaking loosely in that each one of those numbers would be different for different companies. They're like, we can't wait that long. You got to be profitable day 1. Well, I think if you're true and assess when you break even with a new hire versus all the cost and all the expenses going into it, it might shock you what that number actually is. And I don't know how many companies truly assess that. Have you had anybody on your podcast that like, hey, we know the day that a new hire actually contributes to the bottom line?
I think in round terms, there's some people that have thought that way, but I don't think anybody that truly calculates it that accurately.
Yeah. And again, it wasn't that we're setting out to find that day. We just know that for each individual company, there is that timeline that is out there that does exist. And so
I mean,
If we still
I
run,
do remember having an employer tell me that, hey, I'm losing money basically paying you for the first year, basically something
yep,
like that.
yep, yeah. And again, it's culture and it's mentality. So I'm not here to advocate that one is right or wrong for having those approaches. But if you start to understand these numbers, you start to see how the principles of woodworking, this industry solution, came together. And there are many aspects of it that is numbers driven. And so if we're going to we think the feasibility is we retain our employees for 3 years, then we wanted to have them up and fully running in 3 months was the goal of this thing. And so, well, how do you take somebody and if it's really focus or look at the efforts of a smaller facility, maybe someone who doesn't have an HR director and someone who doesn't have a training center and some of these things that some of the larger companies are afforded to have in their overhead. And we start looking at people who are just trying to figure out how to navigate their ways. How do we as an association look for a solution that applies across the board that can help any and all of those? And so that's what we have attempted with this rollout of industry solutions. And um, it's really to expedite the knowledge or the foundational level so that you as a company can take that and go build upon it in the areas that's most important to you. Uh, I'm going to pull out a couple segments that we always show in these early previews, and it's how to calculate board feet, how to use a tape measure, how to read a tape measure, understanding how the tab on the tape measure is supposed to work. Those are things that, as someone who's been brought up in a quality educational system in the high school, I knew how to use and operate a tape measure coming out of high school. But in today's world of either people are changing their minds coming out of high school, hey, I was all AP classes and I wanted to become a doctor, lawyer, or attorney, which we need all of those. But I changed my mind and realized I need to work with my hands for a living and that I missed that element. And so now all of a sudden you're taking those people that were one track early in their career and now going, hey, I actually do want to learn and understand how to read a tape measure and how it functions and works and all those things. So those building elements are meant to free up the employer's time of not, Jacob, you don't have to sit down and teach somebody, that there's 16 marks on here, that's 16th of an inch, and there's 1/4 inch lines on here, and each line gets bigger is a greater increment. You don't have to do that. And in turn, you can say, here, log in and watch this video and make sure that you understand or comprehend what this is. And some of these things, please don't misconstrue the opportunities in industry solutions. Some of it is to be educational and to teach you, and some of it is to reinforce your knowledge already. We are perfectly fine if people look at some of these modules or take some of these exams and say, I already knew that stuff. Well, that also is healthy for you to onboard an employee because that can build some confidence. And when you have the confidence of your worker, now there is that fine line between confidence and braggadocious. I don't know if that's a word anymore, but cocky. How about that? Obviously, we don't want to eclipse those paths. But again, foundational, set it across the board so that everybody knows where to start. And then do we expect this thing to work for every single employee and take care of every single need? And no, it won't. We're an association that represents nearly 1,000 manufacturers and 300 suppliers. We know that it's not going to be dialed into each individual company, but we are trying because, as we said, this labor issue isn't going away. And so we're trying to play a role in the path of how do we help? How do we invest member dollars to give back to our industry to help the growth of our industry? And that's really what we're looking for. Now, I said we'd talk about numbers. If you do a quick internet search or ask Chat GTP somewhere, you'll come up with a number close to that. There are 26,000 schools, whether it be high schools, whether it be public or private in the United States. And that's just our 50 states. And so if we run with those numbers, hang here with me, audience, it would be, let's say that half of those schools have a Woods program, 13,000. Think that number's too high or too low, Jacob?
Probably too high.
Probably too high. All right. And I agree with that. So allow me to cut that in half. So let's say only 25% of those schools have a Woods program. Now we're down to 6,500. Okay. You fine with that number?
Yeah.
So we're saying 75% of the schools don't even have a Woods program. Maybe 25% does. And we are running with these loose numbers. And so you're saying 6,500 schools out there have a program to turn individuals into our career or to expose them to what that means. But in reality, and my kids are going through middle school and high school right now. We are fortunate enough in our school district, we have middle school Woods program and we have a high school Woods program. I just dropped my daughter off to school, and her friend were talking about their shop class and how they got to operate a saw yesterday. So, we're starting 7th and 8th grade here, but for everybody, that's not the case. But let's take my daughter and her friend that I just dropped off. I think the reality of it is, if 100 kids took a Woods program, how many of them actually come into our architectural wood manufacturing career?
I'd say maybe one.
Maybe one. And for sake of math, I'm glad you're helping me with my math here since we're filming this. But yeah, and so if we run with 1%, we're saying 99 kids we want to just make better consumers, work around their house, enjoy, you know, uh, creating something with their hands. But we're looking for that one. Okay. Now let's run with the numbers again. And it would be, how many members did I say was in AWI? Are you keeping up with me?
You said almost 1,000, I think.
Thousand. Okay. So let's pretend, and those thousand vary in size, but again, we're pretending this morning and having fun with it. So I go, let's pretend each one of them need to hire 5 employees a year. Okay. So I need to um, capture 5,000 kids, but we said we're only going to get 1%. So when you do that math, we have to reach 500,000 kids a year in hopes to retain or attract 5,000. And we say it today and go, that number might even be a little strong. Now start thinking about that. How in the world do we get out in front of 500,000 future laborers for our industry? And that's where the concept of an industry solution is found. It is this, have you looked at how we have to do this? And when you start looking at it, it's a big chunk. But when you look at, you know, how the mouse eats the cheese, it's one bite at a time.
Yeah.
And so I'm very appreciative for AWI's leadership in their multi-directional approach to what's going on. And I know that you said we're only going to talk about is today, so I will stay in those boundaries. But I go, but wait, there's more. And we are looking to aid, this direction and these people, because we understand and see that this is the foundational pipeline to get people interested in our careers. Are there opportunities? Other opportunities? Yes, there are. We know that there's people who shift mid-career. We know that there's people coming out of the military who's looking for civilian careers and those sorts of things. And those are other opportunities to grab qualified individuals and plug them into your companies. But we also know that to grab the attention of the youth and the foundational elements. And so that is, in a nutshell, you like that? You asked one question, but in a nutshell of kind of the founding principles of what AWI is, and how it came to be. And it was leadership assessing numbers, leadership saying our industry is going to have a real problem. I mean, and if you talk to the right people, they'll tell you the problem already exists today, and they're probably not wrong. It's just what size is the problem. And it goes back to the old adage that Greg Lutz used to tell me, Doug, you know what the best day to plant a tree is? 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what the second best day to plant a tree is? Today.
Today.
And that's that's the reality, that the labor issues aren't going away. So what are we going to jump in and do? And to the people who say, well, isn't somebody doing this or somebody else doing that, and those sorts of things. Well, again, run those numbers back. If we said there's 6,500 schools, how many people have saturated the market with 5,000 schools? We're not aware of that. How many people have 1,500 schools, 1,000 schools, 500, 200? There are people in those ranges. But I go, and AWI isn't showing up saying, we want to saturate the market, we want to own it. We're just saying, we know it's got to take everybody to go to this. And so when somebody says, hey, we're working on this or we're working on that, fantastic. It's going to take all of us. There is not a one solution. This thing is going to work for just one person.
Right.
Um, the message and the marching orders are large to take on um, just the industry needs for workers. And look, if we really want to blow people's mind and open this segment way up, we haven't even started talking about people outside of architectural woodwork, right? There's kitchen and cabinets, there's trim installers, there's hardwood flooring installers, there's just lumber harvesters. I mean, there's the breadth of the wood industry is phenomenal. It's the sawdust in my blood is still what gives me tingles just to be a part of this industry, and I love it. But take a step back, take off our blinders and start looking at how broad this is and how much opportunity there is in our industry and the careers in our industry. And it gets me a little bit fired up, if you can't tell. So
Yeah. So that was a great recap and intro to what it is, what what the purpose of it, and kind of how it came to be. Would you say, because I think, one, if you're a listener to this podcast and you've listened to any of our episodes, almost every time we end up coming back to this topic of the skills gap, and how, especially, many of the leaders in the industry that I've had on here and company owners, everybody struggles with this. And as you mentioned, it's not getting any better. And in general, though, most people that are in this industry or that have come up with the experience, got it kind of through life experience. They probably grew up doing woodworking with their dad or grandfather, had some exposure to it, and got into the trades very early, maybe even through the unions and things like that, which there are some still today, but
yep.
it is not like it was 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, where you could come out of high school having had experience in high school that is much more common than it is today. And so today what we have is we're already competing with so many other industries, so many other trades, so many other career paths for young people to begin with. So the amount of young people coming into this industry, even seeing it as exist as an option, is very small. And then of those that could come into this industry, which ones have experience or knowledge, like you mentioned? And so I think what you're describing is industry solutions is a tool that opens up more paths for employers to say, okay, maybe I can bring that young person that doesn't have woodworking experience, but I can give it to them, and here's a path that I can teach them. Whereas today, I know so many employers are saying, well, you don't have experience, so there's not an opportunity for here. I don't have time to teach you. I don't, have the capacity or even just the structure to give you that experience. This might open up a path to bring people in that you couldn't consider today. Maybe they are a young person who has technical skills. Maybe they are somebody who's just eager to learn, or maybe they do have CAD skills, but not related to our industry, and you want to get them exposed to, woodworking specific knowledge. Maybe they come from an automotive background, right? And they've got some technical skills that can translate, but you still need them to know the basics. Like you said, a tape measure, right, is very different than a machinist set of measuring tools. And there are things that are basics to us that a lot of people would say, oh, well, that's common sense. How do you not know that? Well, why? They haven't had the opportunity to learn that. And here is a solution to that problem that is opening up more pathways.
Yeah, if you're looking for a job, I'd hire you today because you just gave the perfect sales pitch for what industry solutions is. But what 100% what you just said, Jacob, because like we said, that reality is we know that business owners and managers, they're busy, right? And that's a good thing.
Mhm.
But all of us need training of some form, fashion. And again, I'm a result of a small company. When I started, it was just the owner and myself, and we built up from there. So I go, I've lived this journey. I know it. It is, hey, we're busy. We're busy. So when do we hire? When we're just slammed because we're like, we need more hands. Well,
Yep.
we bring in these individuals and they don't know how to operate a sander. They don't know to go with the grain. So what do? We put our shop foreman, our highest paid guy out there on the floor, and we say, here, teach them how to sand. And they spend 5-10 minutes with them. And our shop foreman, I absolutely love him. We're still best friends to this day. But eventually he would just say, get out of the way. And he would do it, right? Because the crunch of the job and the delivery was so strong that it was, we got to get this done. But then it was, well, we need to throw more hands at it. And it's hard as a business owner, and I sympathize with them and I get it. But I've always said, man, the best time to hire is when you think you're sweeping the floor.
Yep.
But that's when you're like, Doug, I don't know where our next check is coming from. We don't have our next job lined up. We're sweeping the floor just trying to keep everybody here alive. Why would we hire? Well, because that's when you have the time to focus and invest and develop that skill set that you need that when it's crunch time. I mean, I'm not a Chiefs fan. You can tell up there by that. But today is opening day and people are going crazy here in Kansas City. The Chiefs aren't preparing to win a Super Bowl the night before the Super Bowl. Like they're preparing in the off season, the downtime, the slow elements. That's where they're honing in on these skills and getting better and learning plays and conditioning their bodies and all those things. And I go, and most of us in our industry, we enjoy watching football. So hopefully it connects with you that I go, if you're trying to train and build up your workforce during crunch time, you're just building a system to collapse, right? You're building a system to cause more strain than you are trying to get the results that you think you're trying to achieve. And again, I know that the money issues are real and that you have to invest wisely. And I'll let everybody make their own business decisions. But through Doug Hague's lens, um, the time to invest in your employers is not necessarily when you're just slammed, and it is, oh man. And we're seeing this in our beta testing. So, Jacob, you said, hey, in your pitch, you started talking about how, if you come from other industries or if you're a machinist, maybe you don't have these backgrounds. There's two beta testers that come to mind, and I hope I get their stories correct. But one of them, I believe, was a female who transitioned from being a 911 dispatcher and then coming to the wood industry. Now, two totally different careers there, right?
Yep.
And there are times that I'm quoted here at AWI. I'm like, hey, we're not saving lives. We're not doing heart surgery. Take a deep breath. But in the world of 911 dispatch, you truly are saving lives. Like the tension, the stress, all of that has got to be dialed up to a 10 every single day. And now she comes to the wood industry and she took and completed the industry solutions exam. By the way, it's 100 question exam and you have to score an 85% or better because I'm a former college professor and I don't want some low score. I want 85%. You can miss 15 and be okay, miss 16 and take it again. Like show us that you have that strong foundation. And she transitioned from that and watching these modules and we haven't spoke much about it, but the current modules right now is 60 videos. And I don't share that to scare you. I share that to say, wow, how much is there to unfold and unpackage and unwind? And a video could be 2.5 minutes or a video could be 12 minutes. They just kind of vary based upon the subject matter and what it is that we're unfolding there. But she has taken that experience and just ran with it, right? And then you have same company, beta test two. She was a underwater welder. if not underwater, she was a welder previously, and she's transitioning to. So she knew things like, hey, how to read a tape measure. She has no idea about wood science and how humidity and how moisture moves through the tree, and how a tree, all those sorts of things. That you want to talk about fundamentals. That's the fundamental of every single one of our projects, unless you're building all PLAM stuff. But even it has wood cores in it that's going to move with the moisture. But there's fundamentals for all of us. And again, if I speak to the small to medium sized employers and I say, how many of you in your onboarding talk about wood moisture? I'm going to guess, Jake, that's a pretty small number. And
I'm
it
gonna
could even be
guess that
zero.
people who have an onboarding is a pretty small number.
Very fair and true. But look, if they can say, hey, here's a video series, we want you to watch this it in your free time, or we want you to watch it on the clock. The people have access to it. I mean, it's hosted on the web, so access anytime you have internet access, you're
Mhm.
able to go through this course, and you can watch 1 2.5 minute video, or you can sit down and knock out a whole module, or you could be crazy enough to sit down and knock out the whole thing. I say crazy. Hopefully that means that you are that engaged and you're enjoying, and it's kind of like binge watching your favorite show on Netflix, that you just want to watch the next series and want to watch the next series. And that's really the excitement that we're looking for on the release. Um, and through beta testing, what we've learned, if somebody's curious of how long the whole thing, I would say anywhere from, I think we've seen as tight as 6.5, 7 hours to 10 hours to get through this experience. And that, again, not scare anybody. It kind of sets you up for what you're looking at. It is watch the videos, answer the questions during the videos, take quizzes at the end of each section. And then what you're really working for is you are sitting down for an industry credential that is called Principles of Woodworking, that then you get an industry certificate acknowledged by AWI. And so that is the 100 question exam that I spoke of at the very end. So we're excited about the rollout and release. And like I said, beta testing went extremely well. And the curiosity and the interest is there. So I want to thank the public who have participated. And look, we know that this is rollout of one. There is multiple steps and phases in the software and in our approach that we're not done yet, is what I want to say. So I don't want to get myself in trouble and talk about everything, because I know some of them are early on still and still need developed. But I'm excited that this isn't just hey, we rolled it all out and that's everything and we're exhausted, but we'll see you again in 20 years and we hope this works. The board and leadership is committed to continue to feed this process. And like I said, I spoke of earlier that they're attacking it from multiple angles. And there are many things to be proud of within the association and our full size approach to this. I know that this is coming out after the launch, so I don't think I'll get myself in trouble for saying this. But it truly, it was my aha moment when you see, oh wow, AWI is offering all of this, and it is, and it's a culmination of things. It's not one event that triggered all this. You can go back to a $2 million donation from the QCC and the Randy Estabrook scholarship funds that were given. But I go, hey, our foundation gives away $50,000 a year in scholarships. Our foundation gives away $100,000 a year in grants to schools. Um, Now through we are giving away industry credentials to schools and to employers. And then the new thing that I can talk about is we have developed a high school curriculum, and we're looking for a 3-year. They're called a career cluster pathway completer. That's a mouthful, but when you're in education, those are all terms that matter because they center around CTE funding and Perkins federal funding. And so they're a career cluster that we're looking to develop. We've got year 1 done. and will be released by the time this video comes out. And so, and then lastly, we say resources. And when you stretch those 5 words back together, just hear them work in tandem with each other. You have scholarships, you have credentials, you have curriculum, you have grants, and then the last one we use is resources. And the resources are the AWI standards. We're working on an AWI educational textbook right now. We're working on many opportunities that, sure, it works 9th through 12th grade, but it also works in a woodworking facility. And the curriculum is such that it's only going to, middle school, high school type range is what it's intended for. It's not intended for the industry. But the things like our educational textbook or those sorts of resources, yes, that is geared towards industry. When we developed IS and industry credentialing, we were focused on industry. And then there was a voice in the boardroom that said, you get this done, I'm taking it to my local high school. And all of us went, oh, well, yeah, we didn't even, it's those aha moments that you have when you develop something, and when you get it up and going, then you see other opportunity for it. Right. And so that's where we saw the need. Look, WCA has existed and been in partnership with AWI for many years. It precedes me when that thing was established, and they credential machinery operation. Okay, and so we respect that and know that that's there and that exists, and so we don't have any desire to reduplicate the wheel. What we are credentialing is industry knowledge, and so you put those two things in tandem, and hopefully you have multiple resources there that you can pull from or use from. And so we're excited about being able to present this. And when I say I'm excited, and I've said, hey, there's more, do you mind if I just jump in and start sharing about, where we go from here?
Yeah, before I absolutely, I think I want to get there. Okay. Before you do, I want to pose a question to you or kind of get your thoughts on something that came out. You used the football analogy of, the Chiefs, or maybe we should say the Cowboys. But either one, right? So for example, in football, it's not when they're onboarding a new draft pick, say, I don't know who the last quarterback the Cowboys drafted, but they have
Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott, and then they just traded they've got Trey Lance as a backup now, I think,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, he's third string now.
Third string, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but do the Cowboys, or any team for that matter, expect Dak Prescott, their starting quarterback, to teach Trey Lance to be a starting quarterback? Or do they staff with quarterbacks coaches and send them to training and stuff like that? The point I'm making is it is par for the course in our industry that we use the people in our organization, as you said, your plant manager or so on, the people that have that knowledge, they're tasked with and they're burdened with onboarding and training and passing that knowledge, which great, first source of information. They have the experience, but are they good teachers, right? Are they equipped with the time, the resources, the ability to transfer knowledge? Because teaching is a different skill set than doing, right? And it's not always the doers. I know a lot of people, there's the old adage, those that can't do teach, right? But it is a very different skill set, and not all doers are good at teaching and transferring knowledge, right? And I think that you will see that is what this is a big piece that I don't want people to lose, is that yes, you can say, well, why don't I have the people in my organization who have the tribal knowledge? They're going to teach them our way. One, are they going to it? Are they really the person you want being the first? Like, do they have the capacity to do it? And two, are they really going to do the job that you just mentioned? 2 ladies that are your beta testers. That's impressive to me, because I would venture to say that there is a majority of shops out in this industry that if you took those specific 2 ladies and said, okay, you're going to sit you next to 60-year-old George, and he's got all this knowledge more than anybody, but what is their experience going to be with him? And are they going to come away with, do we want to risk that? Is he going to transfer the knowledge? Is he going to do it in a way that they're going to receive it, that is going to be respectful, is going to be effective, right? Or is Saul, for example, in some of these videos, or whoever you have in that, is that going to be a more effective way for them to meet them where they're at and learn? I know that I'm not a good teacher, right? And so a lot of times I come across as condescending, and it's easy for me. Why isn't it easy for you?
Yes.
That is a different skill set to be able to transfer that knowledge, especially when you're talking about some of the things that so many of us say is, well, that's trivial. Of course, that's how a tape measure works. What are
Right.
your thoughts on kind of that aspect of things?
Well, I love the analogy. The short answer is patience is your answer. But because if you will take a step back and remember where you learned this tribal knowledge, you didn't have this aha moment and then just had it all figured out. Somebody in your life was kind enough to grant you patience.
Yep.
And because of those patience, you are who you are today. Right. And it's so easy to say, it's so hard to do. I teach my kids woodworking, and my 15-year-old, I want to do that to them because I'm like, we just covered this. Like, how do you not know what you're supposed to be doing? I just showed you and just talked about it. But look, it's true in parenting, it's true in life, and it's definitely true on onboarding employees.
Mm-hmm.
And, like we said, we're calling this a solution. It's still, it's an element, it's a piece of the pie. You still have to add your layer within your company on top of it. Here's why I said I love your analogy, and I am a Kansas City guy now, where we call home, but always have been a Kansas City Royals fan. And so we'll talk baseball here quickly, because this is very much true, and it's very much what you just said. A few years back, the Kansas City Royals let go their hitting coach in the middle of the season. And who did they hire? George Brett. And if you don't know that name, for anybody in the audience, George Brett is a Hall of Famer. I think he might be the only Hall of Famer for the Kansas City Royals. There was even a year that he flirted with hitting 400. If you know nothing about baseball, trust me, it's really, really good. Okay. And so for him, hitting a baseball is so natural. And they hired him to be the hitting coach. He was extremely frustrated. You know, what do you mean you can't hit this? I hit those things in my sleep, and I'm 60, 70 years old. Right. And so when you say, hey, take your best woodworker, your best engineer, your best whatever, and have them train somebody, if they don't have the patience and they don't have the understanding of that, oh, I was a beginner and somebody had to teach and show me and show me step by step, and maybe show me once, two, three, 10 times how to do it. And because that somebody in my life did that, now I am who I am today. Uh, is Tom Brady going to become the world's best quarterback coach? Is Peyton Manning going to become the world's best quarterback coach? We haven't seen them get into coaching. And when you look at coaches, more often than not, they might not be the most celebrated, highest winner. You don't see Michael Jordan into coaching, because Michael Jordan, if you watched any videos of him in practice, he would rip a young kid's head off and, and not think twice about it. Well, that's a way to develop players, but it might not be the way to try and develop your workforce, because culture is key. There are opportunities all over the board for these people. You spoke about, and I'd say if there's a young kid thinking about a career, turn this podcast off for about the next 3 minutes. If you're a business owner or something, turn it up and listen. And that's because these young individuals have so much more opportunity. If they say, hey, man, I just love running a CNC, or I think that robotics thing is cool. Well, it's been around for years. You go, well, I can run a CNC in the wood industry, or I can run a CNC in the metals industry. What pays more? Right? And that's why I told the kids not to listen, because you go, well, okay, I want to be a project manager. Do I want to project manage as a subcontractor for an architectural woodwork, or do I want to go work for a major construction company? Well, the paychecks might be a little bit different. The culture might be a little bit different. The stress might be a little bit different. All those things that we don't necessarily talk about and assess in job opportunities. We jump right towards money. But look, for the people who loves the metal industry, when they make a mistake on that CNC, if you're cutting titanium, you could throw away $100,000 part. In the wood industry, if I make a mistake, I could throw away $1,000 sheet. Right? Well, that's a huge difference in error. So when you talk about stress and strain and those opportunities that go along with that, don't always just focus. Maybe the kids should come back now. don't always just focus on money when looking at career opportunities and those sorts of things. But it is very real that the opportunities exist to do both in multiple industries, and certain industries might pay better than the others. And that's where woodworkers hang their heads and say, woe is us. And I say, hey, pick your head up. We got a lot to be proud of, right? And again, this industry solutions is just another feather in your hat to bring in a new hire and say, hey, we got a great onboarding solution for you. We want you to watch this, and we need you to pass this exam. And when we do, we'll start you at this pay, and then you pass this, we'll give you another pay. And you go, oh, no, you just attached it to pay. Yeah, that's one way to dangle the carrot. Um, incentivize people however you wish. There is no right way, but let them understand that learning can be fun. Learning can be at their pace, but there are enough checks and balances in the system to assure you that they are learning, or else they're really good at guessing. But remember, their margin of error is only 15% on that final exam. And again, that's to try and give the owner assurance that when they go through our credentialing system, that they truly have learned, or they're showing you, they're enforcing their knowledge that, hey, I already knew this prior, and here you go. I'm a qualified applicant, and I'm excited to get started. So,
Yeah. I think just also from a recruiting standpoint, being able to offer something, like, it's one thing. And I think, just look at your track record. If you're listening to this and you say, well, we can teach people all that, like, how effective has that been in recruiting young people and saying, well, we're going to teach you all this stuff, but what do they have to show for it? And I think there is a very real tangible benefit to being able to offer a credential, and a credential that is backed by AWI. And if you're a member of AWI, I would say that young people value those certificates, credentials. One, it's something that they can show, even if it doesn't change their pay. They can say, look, I did a thing, and here is a testament to my knowledge. One, if they ever have to leave your company and go look for another job, that's something they can show. But, for you, it's a more reason that they're going to want to stay for you, because you're investing in that. You're investing in their education, their career progression. For those young people listening, asking for stuff like this, if you're interviewing or you're in a company, push, the owners are going to hate me for saying this, but say, hey, why aren't we doing this? I was that thorn in every one of my managers' owner's side all my career, because I didn't have this. I came from architecture, and I came to this industry and was like, we have nothing. Why do we have nothing? How can we be more like the other just industry? Because I want to have a career. I made a conscious decision to make a career in this industry and not pursue other things. And I wanted to make sure that I have something to show for this. And so, yes, you might have better paying jobs if you go be a machinist in metal than a machinist today. But I would say your upward mobility can look different, and I think if you're somebody that's eager to make a career in this industry, it's not going to stop at being a machinist. It's going to be learning and moving up. And I think if you're an owner looking at investing young people, that's what you're looking for. You're not just looking for a machinist. You're looking for upward career mobility. You're looking for somebody that's going to eventually be an engineer, a project manager, a VP, or something, right? And we're seeing so many companies now that owners are facing retirement without any type of transition plan or succession planning in place, right? And so if you are not at retirement or even close, this is that much more important. You need people that feel invested in, that are able to take the helm and kind of build in that leadership team that can run the company for you. And so I think that this is a very easy opportunity to offload the stress and figure out, how do I do this, to say, oh, here's a solution that is ready made, ready built, and is continuing to develop and will get better over time. So taking that as a segue to what is next, what is coming that you alluded to.
Well, and I'm going to back up just one small tick, and then we'll jump into what's next, because it works itself in there naturally. But I say, here's a reminder. This thing is free. And this first module, Principles of Woodworking, is free to the entire nation. And you're like, well, why are you doing that? Where's the member benefits? Those sorts of things. And I go, well, the member benefit is career awareness, and that applicants now walk in with a credential and say, hey, I would like to work for you. And oh, by the way, I got this while I was in high school. And, there's several models and that you can study, but they go, we just felt most comfortable that by making this free, it opened the doors for the high schools, the young learners who just, find us on YouTube, find us on LinkedIn, whatever, and then work themselves through this credential, because ultimately the beneficiary is you, the owners, the employers, who are now getting these candidates walking through your door with this information already up here and ready to rock and roll for you. And not necessarily rock and roll, but ready to be a seed planted and to grow in your organization. That's really what we want these candidates to do. And so you go, well, what's next? Where we're headed next is we're looking at shooting videos within the realm of finishing and cabinet making. And so we know that that fits a broad sweeping brush of those 1,000 members, that they're going to fall in either of those categories or both for some. And we also know that finishing information or education, it's difficult to find, right? And so we're looking for those pain points for the manufacturers of what can we do to help. Now, when we roll out those series, those are member benefits only. And so you will need to be an AWI member to have access to those videos. And the plan is right now that we'll roll out 2 to 4 videos a month, and we'll build up that series. So it won't be like this one where you wait for all 60 videos to come out and then ta-da, it's a nice package. We're just shooting, and we're just going to release as soon as we shoot them. But the intent here is that we will build a pathway through cabinet making and a pathway through finishing, that you will have different tiers of success, and that you will have more industry credentials once you go through those pathways. So excited about where it's going. It's a lot of work, but I'm, again, thankful for leadership's investment in this, so that we can go out and do this at, in my humble opinion, a high level. And so I go, hopefully when everybody here logs on and experiences these videos, you see the quality, you see the intent behind it, and hopefully that's conveyed to your future employers. So if you've gotten nothing out of today, we care about you and the future of your employees. That's the whole honest reason. If you just need to strip away what AWI industry is it's caring about the manufacturers in our industry, and where does their next employee come from, and what can we do to, as an association, to help expedite the onboarding process and the knowledge of those individuals so that they can enjoy success quicker within your association.
Awesome. So when does IS launch?
Yeah, so the official launch will have happened on September 23rd at AWI's convention. And so you're watching this now, and it's supposed to air in October. I go, just go to AWI's website and get logged on and get started. You experience it for yourself. If you have any issues at all, we've got support staff behind this thing. Click the buttons, get the help, send the emails. We're happy to help. But again, we bought a certain amount of numbers for our learning management system. I'm ready to break that. I'm ready to have some good problems, Jacob. I smiled at the board and I said, this is the number I bought. I would love to come back with you with an issue of, hey, I need more money because we got to go up to the next level and the next level. Yep. And look, it's going to be you, the audience, the public, who will see the value in this or will help us determine which direction and what we need to do to make changes. But AWI is committed to the long-term success of this. And this isn't just, well, let's try this and then let's leave it and go on and do the next thing. Because as we said, we're looking for a solution to a problem that we think is existed for many years and will still be on the horizon for many years. And my adage is to go on to Greg Lutz's, the best day to plant a tree. I say, you can't plant a tree today and cut down firewood tomorrow. There won't be enough heat to keep you warm because this thing was just underdeveloped. But somebody said, cut it down. We need wood today. Like, Well, it doesn't serve its purpose. And the same is true with just hiring somebody off the street. Go hire them. We need somebody today. Well, it's all full of juvenile wood and sap. Like, what? You wouldn't build anything with this. Well, yeah. Well, how do you develop that tree? Well, you give it nutrients, you give it time, you give it the right conditions, all of those things. Well, what are we doing to our new hires? Where's their nutrients? What's the time element that you're willing to afford them? What's the environment that you put them in? And does it allow for growth? Are they getting the right canopy sunlight? And is it the right temperature? And is it a low stress? And all those things. And you're like, oh, Doug, you're talking about stress. You don't know the real world. I know stress exists everywhere. I get it. But if you're in growth mode, you can really hamper success by too much stress.
Yep. So for just to clarify, this is going to be free. So if you're listening to this, you go to the AWI website, awinet.org, I think it is.
Yep. You got it.
We go to resources and see industry solutions and access it today. And for those that are interested in the other things you talked about, the high school curriculum, or just helping with any of the future development of this, what's the best way for them to reach out to get involved?
Same thing on the website. We're going to have links to the high school curriculum because, look, we want the manufacturers to be the messenger. We love when we compare industry with education. And so perfect example of this, our grant program. For a school to qualify for a grant, they have to have an industry supporter write a letter on their behalf. So, Jacob, I'm making this up. You own a cabinet company in Georgia. You go, hey, I'd like to go work with my local high school. So you knock on their door and say, hey, here's a grant opportunity. I'll write this letter on your behalf because you've sent me 2 or 3 kids. I love what you're doing here. Let's work together and let's get you some equipment. Okay. We want to know those communications are happening. So the same can be true with this curriculum. And we've had some interest of saying, I don't have a chapter in my state right now, but I will start a chapter if you give me this curriculum that I can knock on doors of high schools and go, here is a Woods program, a 3-year career pathway completer program. And here's all the curriculum that's needed. You got to find the right individual to teach it, but industry supports it. Here it is. I'll help. Right? We want that communication taking place. And so when I say, hey, the curriculum's not for manufacturers, I go, it's not for you to download and to get, 70 lesson plans of how to teach squaring a board and all the steps and how to teach joiner safety and drill press safety and planer safety and all those foundational elements that happen at the high school level. It's not a resource for that. It's meant for education, and where it's going to live, it lives on a educational website that you have to log in and prove that you're a teacher to have access to it. And so, and it's not even managed by AWI. So, I say all that to say the links will be on our website. You can find it. We're building out pages just for educators, so it speaks directly to them. So a manufacturer could take that link to a local high school, but hopefully get to our website. There'll be enough buttons there to find and get to the resources of the curriculum project and take that whole package. Say, here's the curriculum, here's the scholarships, here's the grants, here is the industry solutions credentials, and then here's a button that you can click right here and read the standards, and here's their new education book they're working on, all this stuff. And so you're giving the local schools an entire bundle that is offered by one association that is almost 75 years strong. There's so much, I can't even think of the right word that goes along with, man, everybody served and did their time to build us up to 75 years of history. And I'm going to call it rich history. Like, you look back at AWI and it's conceptual sprung up of how it came to be to now we've released our 11th version of standards. And you turn around and you go, man, almost 75 years later, look at what this entity has done for an industry. But the real burden on AWI leadership now is not, hey, look at what we've done for the last 75 years. The real burden is, what are we going to do in the next 75 years? Because I said, everybody who serves their time, their moment in history, what are we doing to prepare it for the next? And I always said, I want to leave this place better than what I found it. And I want that to be said for our entire leadership team and the decisions and efforts that we do. Will we always get them right? No, we won't. But I'm thankful that we have a team that's willing to try and to just keep swinging. One more sports analogy. You got to remember, a Hall of Famer in baseball gets out 7 times out of 10 at the plate, right? But those 3 times out of 10, he makes it happen. And I would like to think our statistics can be a little bit better than that. But in reality, I go, if we're not out trying new things, then we're not going to fail. And if we're not out failing, then where's our opportunity of growth? So that's just a Doug Hague mindset. Nobody gets any extra for me sharing that, but I believe it to be true because I have worked in a facility where it was top down and eventually people just shut down because they're like, well, why would I step outside the lines? I'm going to get slapped or told that's not how we do it. And so you just conform to just this. But what you have is you just have the capacity of one individual. And it's almost sad when you see it because you see all the opportunity down here and you see the potential. They're just never allowed to go. Now,
That's I'd love to do a whole episode about that, because as you were talking about the analogy of trees, it made me think of a guy from the National Hardwoods Association told me that we don't plant any hardwood trees in this country. They cut down mature trees, and the young trees then have the opportunity to grow that were under their canopy. And I think that is often very true in our industry as well, what you just described, that if there's that top-down mentality, how often do those people not ever see that opportunity because they're under the shadow of somebody else's mature canopy.
Yep, 100%. And I could definitely talk 60 minutes on that.
Doug, thank you so much for coming on and telling us about industry solutions. I'm excited to see people adopt this, people start using it. I know we're going to be using it. And I think next year, hopefully we'll be having you on where you're telling us about the launch of the next modules and the next evolution of this.
Yeah, there is more. It's in place with the infrastructure of the software and what we're doing. We just want to release this in phases to give us our best opportunity of success and support. We need to support our membership base and the industry. And so trying to launch, pull the big switch and throw it all live, probably not in our best interest. So I go, hey, there will be more about this and more opportunities. And I don't want somebody to say, why didn't he tell us about this sooner? Like, well, because we knew that we had to take the right approach to try and have the most successful path. And so there is more. We do want to be that resource and here to help you train and aid your onboarding. And we think it's our job as an association to be out and to do industry awareness and career awareness. Again, if you think about the small to mid-sized people, they're not able to get away to every career fair, every opportunity. And so AWI, the association, wants to be out being the voice on your behalf and telling these young individuals that there are opportunities and this is a thriving career and a great place to make a livable wage for and support a family. And so that's what ultimately we want to do.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Doug. I'll be seeing you in a couple of weeks at National, and hopefully when everybody's listening to this, we'll have in the show notes the links to everything, so it's easy for you to get to and start learning.
Appreciate it, Jacob. Appreciate your involvement with AWI. You've been an awesome task force committee chair leading the technology task force, and it's shown in its results this year. And I know you're pushing us to be better. We're going to make the survey thing happen one way or the other. But again, I start off this show talking about data, and I go, the data is nice, but it's what we do with it and how we respond and make sure that we understand what the data is in relationship to. And so that's hopefully how we continue to make decisions and do things to grow the association. And grateful that you're a part of it and look forward to working more with you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doug.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Do you want to stay up to date about industry insights, new content, and our community of millworkers? Go to ductworksmw.com to sign up for our newsletter. I'll see you in the next episode of Verify in Field.